Hello there, my name is Hideout and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're in spoilery season, aren't we? We've got a brand new little goblindo, or goblin as it's pronounced in English. It looks really quite cool. Is it real? Well, I think it is, so I've made this video. And let's have a look at Goro-Goro, Disciple of Ryusei. 2 mana for a 2/2 Goblin Samurai. Oh, Goblin Samurai, absolutely phenomenal. I wish I could see what was going on in the artwork, but I can't. I have no clue what that is in the slightest. But Samurai, really nice to see them back. You can play a red. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. That's really nice in the command zone. Constantly being able to get there in an aggressive sort of fashion. Play some big creatures, swing straight away. And then 5 mana, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. Activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. So you have to do this in your combat step. But that's not the end of the world, really. Getting a nice big flyer whenever you want, just for attacking with a modified creature. But what is a modified creature? Well, a modified creature is something that's enchanted, equipped, or has a counter on it. Any counter, I believe. I hope it is. One of my sections is all about that. So if it's not, I've made quite a buffoon of myself. But quite a cool card. The whole modified mechanic, I like it. I wish they would have brought back Bushido. Just because I like saying the word Bushido. It's a pretty garbage mechanic. But it's a great word to say. Bushido. Anyway, let's Bushido onto subscribing to my YouTube channel. Ooh, look at that subscription button. Press it, please. Join me. We're going to be making videos like this for every single legendary creature. And good God, I'm going to be doing this for some time. So come along on the journey. Without further ado, let's go on a little journey of ourselves for Goro-Goro. In at number 5, well, what have we got? We've got things that get counters, because I think counters is the easiest way to modify a creature. And so creatures that give themselves counters are phenomenal, like Runaway Steamkin. 2 mana, 1/1 elemental. Whenever you cast a red spell, we're playing mono red, we're going to be doing a bit of that. If it has fewer than 3 1/1 counters on it, put a 1/1 counter on Runaway Steamkin. Then you can move 3 1/1 counters from Runaway Steamkin to add 3 red. So a really fantastic card, adds to the modified sort of ability. And the great thing is, in combat, if you have the 3 counters, well, let's remove one to pay for 3 mana of the 5 mana our commander cares about. Really, really great card. Get it down early, then play our commander, or vice versa. If you play this and then your commander, no, if you play your commander and then this, if you've got 1 red over, you can give this haste a boosh, straight in for 1. Really, really cool card. Another great card with counters is Bloodthirsty Adversary. 2 mana, 2/2 with haste, vampire. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 mana any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many 1/1 counters on Bloodthirsty Adversary, then exile up to that many target instant and sorcery cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard and copy them. You may cast the number of copies without paying their mana cost. So this is really, really good. There's a lot of great spells in mono red under 3 mana. All right, I know what it looks like. I've said there's lots of great spells and I've just completely forgot them. But there is quite a few. The Wheel of Fortunes. Hey, there we go. Wheel of Fortune. That removal spell. Chaos Warp. Hey, there we go. Another one. See, there are. I swear to God, there are. So there's a lot of great targets for this. And, it gets a counter. It's got haste as well. So we can swing straight in and then we can make some dragons. Christ, my mind is in pieces today. Hangaback Walker's a great counter sort of enabler as well. Double X for a 0/0. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. When it dies, put a 1/1 colour stop to artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield for each 1/1 counter on Hangaback Walker. And you can pay 1 and tap it to put a 1/1 counter on Hangaback Walker. So that's really nice. You can just deploy this early, just slowly build it up, keep tapping it, get those counters on. Or, you could swing in with it just to be able to make one of our dragons. So a really good card in the deck. And then a personal favourite of mine, Ignition Team. 7 mana for a 0/0. But if we've got 8 mana, our commander, we can pay a red, give this haste straight away. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the number of tapped lands on the battlefield. So, really, we're going to be tapping 7 mana for this, so tap all your lands. That's 7 from us. But we've got 3 opponents, don't we? So that's 3 extra amounts of counters that we're going to be getting. This thing's going to be enormous. And then you can pay 3, remove a 1/1 counter from it. Target land becomes a 4/4 red elemental creature token, creature until end of turn. It's still a land, so can make a nice little army for us. So we can swing in for tons of damage. And then we've got the Ordeal of Perforos. This is cool in 2 different ways. Because it's in an enchantment auras, being attached to or something, modifies a creature. But then, whenever an enchanted creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it. Then if the 3 or more 1/1 counters on it, sacrifice it. Then when you sacrifice it, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Really quite cool. Is it the best thing in the world? No, but it's a nice bit of synergy that I thought would be quite cool to put into the deck. So, not the greatest, but it works in a lot of different ways for our commander. Then we've got Krenko Tin Street Kingpin. 3 mana, 1/2 Goblin. Whenever it attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it. Then create a number of 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. So, because we're putting a counter on it in combat, straight away we can use our commander's ability to make our dragon. And this can create an absolutely colossal army if it gets big enough. And there's a couple of good ways to put counters on things. So, a good card to consider. Then Rage Forger, 3 mana, 2/2 elemental shaman. When it comes into play, it puts a 1/1 counter on each other shaman creature you control. If you want to go deep into shaman tribal, be my guest, but the second ability is what it's all about. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it attacks, you may have that creature deal 1 damage to target player. So this is really nice for whittling down our opponents. If we're going wide, making a big army of tokens that are, just small creatures that have counters on them, well, that can end up ending someone's career. Really great card. And that brings me on to number 4. And if I've got it correct about modified, I think I have, these are all cards that have interesting counters that you might want to put into the deck. And my Origin of Infinite Rage is 10 mana. Ooh. It's 7/4 though. Nice stat line. I love a 7/4. It seems so aggressive. It's really chopping at you. But then it's sort of it could be a bit defensive, but it's really choppy. Anyway, it's a spirit, which matches the dragons we're going to be making, spirit dragons. When it comes into play, put with a divinity counter on it if you played it from your hand. So don't go cheating it out of exile or anything. It has indestructible as long as it has divinity counter on it. So that's pretty good. We're going to have a modified creature that can swing in, and it's indestructible, so we can just swing in as much as we want. Then you can remove a divinity counter from Myojin of Infinite Rage. Destroy all lands. Now, if you've never destroyed all lands, it's a good feeling. It makes you feel really good inside, to be fair. But this is going to make your opponents miserable. Good card. I'd really recommend this card. Playing with it, it's just wonderful. Blowing up lands, your opponents are going to be so salty. It's great. It's just good fun. Then Oblivion Stone, a great way of getting interesting counters onto creatures. 3 mana artifacts, pay 4, tap, put a fate counter on target permanent. Ooh, that's nice. Then pay 5, tap, sacrifice it, destroy target non-land permanent without a fate counter on it. Not target each non-land permanent without a fate counter on it. Then remove all fate counters from all permanents. Boo. So removing the fate counters isn't great, but this is a board wipe which works well with the theme of the deck of modifying our creatures. Really great card. Then there's the Charging Cinderhorn. 4 mana, 4/2 with haste. Beginning of each player's end step, if no creatures attack this turn, put a Fury counter on Charging Cinderhorn. Then Charging Cinderhorn deals damage equal to the number of Fury counters on it to that player. So this is just, it's an interesting counter, isn't it? Fury counters, don't really see them too often. And, it works well with the deck. Nice aggressive body, 4/2, although can be chumped into Oblivion. But it's cool. It deals damage to your opponents repeatedly if they're not attacking. And it just makes games happen. And that's one of my favourite things in Red. Heartless Hidasuga, my favourite Red commander, forces games to actually have gameplay. People start attacking and going, oh my god, I'm on 3 life. What am I going to do? And this is the sort of card that works well in that sort of strategy. Makes the game actually happen. And then we've got the Armory Automaton. 3 mana 2/2 construct. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may attach any number of target equipments to it. That's not just our equipment, it's everyone's. We just steal them all and they become attached to this. So he becomes modified. But this is a really cool card, especially if you've got like a Lightning Greaves on the battlefield. It enters the battlefield, Lightning Greaves goes on it, and then everything else gets sucked onto it. You're just attacking for a massive threat. Really great card. Then let's have a look at number 3. And at number 3, we've got Oathkeeper Takeno's Daisho. I think that's what it is. I don't know. It's Oathkeeper. The rest of it, I'm not too sure. 3 mana for an equipment. A quick creature gets +3/+1. Whenever a quick creature is put into a graveyard from play, return that card to the play under your control if it's a samurai. And our commander is a samurai. So I wanted to include this because it's a nice bit of protection specific to our commander. When it is put into the graveyard from play, remove a quick creature from the game. So if they blow it up, we lose our commander. But it's a great, really cool way of keeping our commander around. Say we board wipe or they board wipe. Well, our commander will be back straight away. We can pay a red, give everything haste. Great card. Really, really cool. And the artwork's lovely. I love it. I imagine a foil of this would look pretty special. Then, if we're talking about samurai, there's Izuka, the Ruthless. 5 mana for a 3/3 human samurai with Bushido too. Bushido. When this blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Then you can pay 3 and sacrifice a samurai. Samurai you control gain double strike until end of turn. Oh, that's really cool. It's so cool. Just the whole Kamigawa set was filled with such cool ideas that just didn't work out all that well. Another set that's quite interesting was the Lorwyn set. And this card is one of the best cards from it. Shared Animosity, 3 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a type with it. Okay, so if you want to go down samurai, there's only about 5 red samurai. You can play both of the brothers Yamazaki though. But this is a great card because of the dragons that we're producing. So a couple of cards I'm going to talk about in a minute allow us to make a lot more dragons a lot quicker. So if we've got lots of dragons out, well, all of our dragons are going to be massive. Or with our commander being a goblin, you could go deep into the sort of goblin territory. Gobble up the opponents, if you will. Then, speaking of Godo, is this card called Goro-Goro? I can't remember. Goro-Goro, that's it. This is Godo. Bandit Warlord, 6 mana, 3/3 human barbarian. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield. If you do, shuffle your library. So great for modifying whatever creature you want because you can get equipment straight onto something. And whenever Godo attacks for the first time each turn, untap it and all samurai you control. Finally, the samurai are coming to battle. So great for untapping our commander and having another little combat step. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Really, really nice. And that brings me on to number 2. And in at number 2, we've got Cryptic Trilobite. I was going to say 0 mana, but well, you could cast it with 0 mana. Don't. Star, so it can be as big as you want it. And it's a battlefield with X/1/1 counts on it. It's not a star, it's an X. Christ. Oh my god, I'm falling to pieces. I'm just knackered. But the reason I wanted to put this in is you can remove a 1/1 counter from it to add double colorless. Spend this mana to only activate abilities. And you can pay 1, tap it, put a 1/1 counter on Cryptic Trilobite. So this is fantastic with our commander's ability. Because it costs 5 mana, we can use 2 of these colorless to make it essentially cost 3 mana because we've got 2 mana from this. Really, really great use of this card. And it's a modified attacker for getting in there for damage. Then Mana Echoes is another great mana producer with this sort of synergy type effect. 4 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may add an amount of colors equal to the number of creatures you control that share a creature type with it. So, the first time we make a dragon, well, we're not going to get any mana. Then, next time we make a dragon, well, we get 1 mana. So, the next time it'll cost 4 mana. Then it'll be 3, 2. So eventually, when we've built up enough dragons, we're just going to be able to spurt out dragons for just double red in the middle of our combat phase. Really, really awesome card, works fantastically in the deck. Then, this card isn't technically legal, but I don't care. I think you should be able to play these sorts of cards in a monocolored deck. You can cast this for double red. You can activate all its abilities for double red. So why don't we play it? I don't know why. It makes no sense to me. So I'd advocate for putting this in your deck. 3 mana, 3/3 Zerda the Dawnwaker, Elemental Fox. Companion, well, nah. Then abilities you activate. The art mana abilities cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana to cost less than 1 mana. And you can pay 1 and tap it. Target creature can't block this turn. Not interested in that. The main thing I want to be talking about is the reduction in cost. So it allows our commander to just be 3 mana to activate. So 3 mana for a 5/5 dragon. It's pretty goddamn good, to be honest with you. And then finally, we got Heartstone. 3 mana for an artifact. The cost of each creature ability requiring an activation cost is reduced by 1. This cannot reduce the ability's generic mana less than 1. So it, costs 4 mana to make a dragon. Pretty cool. Yes, it helps our opponents, but it just works so well for us. And that brings me on to number 1. So we're making all these big flying threats. We can give things haste. Let's take lots of combat steps with Breath of Fury. 4 mana for an aura, so it modifies the creature it's enchanted on. Enchant creature you control. When enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it and attach Breath of Fury to a creature you control. If you do, untap all creatures you control, and after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So, we can make these dragons in the middle of our combat step. That's pretty cool, and we can give them haste. So, if we get an extra combat step, the dragon we've just made, we can attack with. And then we can put Breath of Fury onto it, kill him, blah, 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 blah. And just keep sacrificing making dragons if you have infinite mana somehow. But it's just a cool card to include. Similarly, the Scourge of the Throne, which, works in a dragon-centered way. 6 mana, 5/5 flyer, dethrone, so whenever it attacks the player with the most life, or tied for the most life, put a 1/1 counter on it. So it's modified, hooray! And when it attacks for the first time each turn, if it's attacking the player with the most life or tied for the most life, untap all attacking creatures. After this phase, an additional combat phase. So we don't get to attack with the extra dragons, but we could get an extra combat phase for something else. Then Hellkite Charger, 6 mana dragon, flying and haste for 5/5. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 7 mana. Ooh, that's pretty weighty. If you do, untap all attacking creatures, and after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So this is really good. We built up a big army. This can just close out a game if you've got enough mana. Then finally, there's Port Razor. It's 5 mana for a 4/4 Orc Pirate. Whenever it deals combat damage to the player, untap each creature you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. You can't attack a player is already attacked this turn. So potentially we can make tons and tons of dragons. Really, really great card. And those are my top 5 for Goro-Goro. Really cool little goblin, taking goblins in a samurai direction, and I enjoy that. And, being able to make dragons is pretty cool. All around, quite a cool card. If you've enjoyed this, please do like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.